going on, fellow A-plusers? It is I, your host as always, Adam Perez, coming through once again with a brand new review as we're going to get into Titans today, Season 3, Episode number 10, titled Troubled Waters, guys. I know we usually go do our reviews about 8 p.m. Central Time, but I decided to go ahead and bump it up just a little bit earlier. For some reason, my analytics told me that 7 o'clock was usually the better time, more viewers, so I guess we'll see how the analytics certainly do hold up, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to go ahead and get into the newest episode of Titans. We have finally broken the double digits here. I'm assuming, if anything, we probably don't have too many episodes left to go. I feel like, if anything, last season, I believe we had 13 episodes. I'm kind of curious if they're willing to push the envelope here for HBO Max to see if we're going to get 13, maybe 15 episodes. I really don't know, but we'll definitely have to see how the rest of this season transpires. I will say, though, after the end of this episode, or towards the end of this episode, it felt very much like they were building towards maybe a little bit of a climax. I mean, don't get me wrong, all mayhem has certainly ensued when it comes to Gotham City, and based off of where we see our team at split up at this particular point, everybody kind of a little bit in combinations now. I'm assuming, if anything, they'll eventually find themselves together once again, maybe facing off against the final threat in this series, or in this particular season. So should be interesting, to certainly say the least, as we go forward now that we are in the double digits here. But Gotham City is in chaos, guys. It is, in fact, in mayhem. I mean, I thought it was a great shot of just seeing the final shot here with Dick Grayson looking out one of the windows, and you just see the smoke and fire that sort of engulfed Gotham City, and just how much it's really kind of coming down thanks to Red Hood and Jonathan Crane himself. So really like the position that we find our team in, unfortunately, as the Gotham water supply has in fact been contaminated with Crane's fear serum. We're talking tens of thousands of civilians in Gotham City that have in fact been infected by this particular water. So it's gotten everybody fearful. Everybody's looting. Crime is currently out of control, if you will, and the Gotham City Police Department are trying to certainly pick up the pieces as best as they can. So it's a mess. It's a mess. And then on top of that, we have our Titans having to worry about this sort of fear propaganda that Crane is now pushing, right? Now that he's infected people, just infuse that fear with just a very much a false narrative, if you will, by having Crane tell everybody that the people you can blame for this is in fact the Titans, and not just the Titans, but clearly Nightwing, Starfire, all of them wanted dead or alive here in Gotham City. So it's become a war zone. It's definitely become a war zone, and that's exactly what Jonathan Crane has certainly been planning, and really wants Red Hood to sort of be the hero for Gotham at this particular point in time. So with that being said, in regards to Jonathan Crane and Red Hood, can I be just very honest with you guys? This season, I thought, did an incredible job of kicking off, for sure. Getting to see Kieran Walters as Red Hood, perfect. I really do love what this kid is bringing in regards to just his performance alone. But Red Hood made such an immediate impact within the first 3 episodes, even killing one of the Titans within the first 3 episodes, making a name for himself, you know, letting him know that he's going to be a big bad, or at least a really big part of this season for our Titans to certainly handle. And ever since that episode, outside of maybe the episode that he had, it wasn't the last one. What was the episode? It was the one where we really focused on Jason Todd, and we kind of went back in time a little bit to kind of see what led up to him becoming Red Hood and his death and things like that. Outside of those episodes, you know, I really feel like they've kind of missed the mark a little bit. You know, while Crane, the actor that plays Crane, certainly does give a great performance, there are aspects about just seeing Crane and Red Hood together that I don't necessarily want to say are boring, but it feels very much like it's watered down the Red Hood character, you know? And again, I'm not too familiar with Jason Todd's journey as Red Hood in regards to, at least, you know, him picking up the mantle and things like that, how he was reintroduced into the comic books. So I don't know if he played up as somebody's puppet or somebody's lackey, if you will. But to be able to see the impact that Red Hood had in the first 3 episodes, I was really expecting more of that for the remainder of the season. Now, there's nothing wrong with elaborating and expanding somebody's storyline, but to expand it to where it's now just become him being somebody else's lackey, doing somebody else's dirty work while Crane just kind of kicks his feet up and sits back and watches the mayhem and sort of thing. I just don't know how I feel about it. And I am kind of wondering how I'm feeling about the combination of these two and things kind of working together, because I guess I just figured Red Hood would have more of a place here. And even though he certainly does, again, I just don't know that if I like the idea of somebody sort of pulling his strings and him not being sort of the main planner of everything that's been going on. So outside of the Red Hood stuff, at least when it comes to Jason Todd, I have at least enjoyed his story in regards to seeing how he got to this point. He still continues to have some moments in here, especially in this episode with Molly, where there seems to be, I don't want to say like a piece of him that can certainly still be redeemed, but Molly certainly still thinks so, right? Clearly his best friend that just wants to see the best for Jason, who he suggests gets out of Gotham, since that's what her original plan is for her and Jason, to just get the hell out of there, since Gotham City clearly is a poison. Jason clearly wants better things for his friend, really feeling like there's nothing left for him here. So I don't know if we're going to get ourselves a redemption story. You know, there's a part of me that, one, I don't necessarily need to see one. I don't mind Jason surviving this series. I almost would prefer him survive and him eventually just either escape or, you know, go off in necessarily into the sunset, but maybe the nightlife or something, right? You know, more stuff that he has to take care of or handle himself. I wouldn't mind him being sort of that anti-hero, right? Not fully back to being heroic because of all the shit that he's done, but also doesn't mind standing up when he needs to, and then hopefully get his mind right in his own time. So those are the type of things that I certainly would like to see when it comes to Red Hood. But the Red Hood and Crane stuff right now feels like it's kind of dragging a little bit. I don't necessarily know if that's a case of writers not knowing what to do in between these episodes, or really just trying to draw this out for the remainder of this season. So it could use a little bit work in regards to that. But despite that, though, I continue to love this season. I think this is probably the finest season of Titans that we've certainly have gotten, and I do think that the idea of them taking place in Gotham instead of over in San Francisco has really done wonders for Titans. Even though there is a part of me that would like to see more Titans villains, because I always felt like they got themselves such a great rogues gallery. Also, to kind of see Titans sort of become a Gotham 2.0 or like just another Batman series. I think, at least from the comic book wise, while I understand that Dick Grayson's always been, you know, Batman's sidekick as Robin, the idea of really establishing himself as his own hero and turning into Nightwing just makes me feel like he's trying to become his own man, but the writers really truly want to kind of keep Dick Grayson in Gotham, so much to the point to where, you know, I almost feel like, and we talked about this very early on in the season here, once Bruce Wayne tells him, hey, Gotham is yours now, right? Be a better Batman than I could ever be. You know, we hinted at the idea of, will Dick Grayson become Batman by the end of this season? For me, it would be a little bit of a bummer just because I love him as the Nightwing character so much, but it's not like Dick Grayson hasn't picked up the Batman mantle before. If anything, I feel like with just the liberties that the writers have certainly taken this season, I wouldn't at all be mad if they decided to go ahead and just do their own creative and original story with a lot of these characters. I would completely be open to it. And the only reason why I continue to hint at Dick Grayson becoming Batman, not just early on in the season when Bruce literally says, be a better Batman than me, but the fact that Dick Grayson is seeing a lot of hallucinations and visions over the past 2 episodes. Like when he goes to look at the eye exam, you know, screen on the wall, everything starts morphing into a bat. I'm wondering if that's like pushing him to that particular point, sort of thing. Has Dick Grayson sort of been a little bit poisoned with this fear serum also? I mean, the same thing happened with Gar in this episode where he's seeing bats literally in the Batcave. And then when Corey walks in, they're not there. So he's seeing things. So I'm wondering if somebody's planting these thoughts and visions in their head. Have they been contaminated too in some way with this serum? And they're just not aware of it as of right now, or is this truly leading into something completely different? I am fascinated to see what the path holds. And then when we wind up getting Donna Troy in here, Lydia referencing to her the idea that, you weren't here just to protect people, but to lead also. And I am kind of wondering if that's going to thrust Donna Troy into more of a leadership role, if maybe she will then become the leader of the Titans. And maybe we've got somebody like Dick Grayson that goes on to be Batman. And then maybe he even adds Tim Drake as his sidekick, or maybe he pushes him onto the Titans. I mean, hell, maybe season 4 of Titans really ends up turning into Batman and the Outsiders or some shit out of nowhere. Who certainly knows? But I like the potential. I like the avenues and the options that the writers certainly have in front of them, to certainly say the least. But it will be interesting to see how things turn out when it comes to Dick Grayson and Donna Troy. But listen, when it comes to Donna Troy, we do see in this episode she's on her way back to Gotham after saving the life of Bruce Wayne that we saw at the conclusion of last week's episode. I don't know if she's going to finally meet up with her team, or if she's looking for Tim Drake, or maybe both things. But Donna Troy certainly is back, but not before Lydia finds her, winds up testing her before she returns to Gotham, wants to figure out how and what exactly came back. I'm assuming the idea of somebody being resurrected from the dead over in Themyscira is not something that happens on a routine. And so it's clearly something that Lydia wants to certainly find out. But it's pretty much there just to her being there is really just to go ahead and push Donna in order to become better, if you will. Clearly referencing her as a special piece to the puzzle also, and the fact that she hasn't sort of met her fullest potential, which I can honestly agree with. I feel like even though we have seen Donna Troy in 2 seasons of Titans, I don't necessarily feel like they've given her the necessary focus that she certainly deserves. So I am hoping that with this tease of you're meant to be a leader, hopefully season 4 has Connor Leslie much more in the forefront. With her being dead half this season, clearly she's not going to get the shine that she deserves. But she had some great sequences in here. Like I love all the great shots of her with the sword, grasping the sword when she gets it for the first time, even cutting the gigantic log in half. I thought was pretty cool. Even a really great technical shot they had of Donna Troy in the about to enter Gotham. She falls over, and as she falls over, the cut edit right into sort of her falling into the leaves. I thought it was actually a really fantastic shot, to say the least. But I'm looking forward to it. And listen, I do appreciate too the writers being very much self-aware about the idea of her being electrocuted, which is one of the biggest things that I harped about in the finale for season 2. Was like, if you're really gonna kill off Donna Troy, like that felt like the simplest way to do it. Almost like it shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? Like electricity killing Donna Troy, that just doesn't make any sense to me. So when she actually gets tased in this episode and she's like, been there, done that, I kind of chuckled a little bit, because I'm just like, see, it's not even effective. Granted, the voltage is significantly different. But I just was never one to believe that Donna Troy would die due to electrocution. It just felt like she was just way more powerful than that. And I'm kind of curious if she even became more powerful in this particular season, now that she's sort of back from the dead, if you will. So I am fascinated to see exactly what happens with Donna Troy, certainly going forward. But Dick Grayson here also, we need to talk a little bit about Dick Grayson, because it feels to me like Dick Grayson continues to make really bad decisions, or continues to be behind the 8 ball. Like, I don't get me wrong, I know Jonathan Crane is pretty smart, but I'm kind of expecting my Dick Grayson to be smarter than the villains themselves, coming up with great plans. I mean, granted, I will almost give Dick Grayson a pass, because I think he even knows his plan in this episode is a bad one. Like, that's even what he tells Barbara in this episode. Like, I'm kind of out of really good ideas, but I've got some bad ones you might want to listen to. Maybe we should turn ourselves over, as he winds up making that decision. But from the moment he decided to turn himself over, there was just something in the air that was just like, yeah, this is a bad idea. Like, I just feel like something terrible is going to happen. And then anytime somebody tells you, oh, it's just for show, don't trust the situation whatsoever. And I think the Titans clearly learned that in this episode also. So it was already a bad decision to begin with. And then you tell everybody, oh, don't worry, guys, this is just all for show. Really? Because it don't feel like for show. This is a really great show that they're putting on, if that's the case. But the Titans certainly learned firsthand not to trust every situation that they're in. And so a part of me, again, I'm really expecting Dick Grayson to kind of step it up a little bit, man. Like, I know maybe you're feeling the pressure that there's no Bruce Wayne, that you're responsible for Gotham City. He wants you to be a better him. Barbara Gordon's pushing you to certainly be better. And yet you really haven't been, right? And there's even a moment in this episode towards the end when Connor Kent, literally the very last scene, and all mayhem is certainly ensued. You got somebody like Connor Kent that's like, well, can we at least go back out there and help the people of Gotham? And he's like, no, Gotham's on their own. I'm thinking, what are you talking about, man? Like, granted, I know everybody's coming for your head, but there is a level of heroism that I think should certainly still happen. Granted, Superboy is as invincible as they come. I would have been like, look, go, Connor. If you still want to go ahead and help the people of Gotham out that certainly need it, please do. Like, if anything, I think that's the way that you start convincing people that you're certainly not the enemy. The idea of hiding in the dark, and keeping yourself hidden from the public, I don't necessarily know if it does wonders for you, but you're like a superhero team, guys. You should be able to handle Gotham City civilians along with the GCPD also. So there are moments that doesn't have me scratching my head in regards to the intelligence level of Dick Grayson, but I always felt like even when you watch season 1 and season 2, he does tend to be behind the 8 ball a little bit. He does tend to kind of come up with a solution to the very end of the season, and just really make some bad decisions along the entire way. Like the idea of just taking Jonathan Crane out because you wanted to investigate him. I mean, yeah, that would turn into a great shit show, Dick Grayson. Like, brilliant plan on your part, man. So sometimes I do wonder, like, are the writers just making Dick Grayson look like a complete idiot in order for him to maybe come up with a great plan by the end of the season and then redeem himself? I don't really know, but and again, I do wonder if he's under something. The hallucinations, the fears. I mean, again, he's seen visions and stuff that the writers have yet to explain to us. So I am kind of curious as to what's certainly going on with Dick Grayson. But despite how I feel about Dick this season, Brenton Thwaites continues to do a phenomenal job in regards to representing Dick Grayson, to say the least. And if I did have a quick honorable mention, Barbara getting arrested in here for what? I'm really shocked at this in the sense that, like, she is the commissioner. She gave these people an order. They refused and showed their true colors of them being corrupt cops. And Dick and Barbara did what she had to do to keep this guy from killing anybody. And she wind up shooting the dude that didn't listen to her. Like, how is Barbara the one that's getting her gun taken and her badge sort of taken away from her, sort of thing? Look, I get that trust has been lost all around, right? Barbara's kind of put her trust in Dick Grayson and the Titans, and we see exactly how, again, Dick Grayson not living up to his fullest potential here. And a lot of that has come back to bite Barbara Gordon sort of in the ass. But the idea of her getting arrested, or at least having her badge and gun taken from her, didn't make any sense to me, considering the fact that we know as a viewer that that cop was already corrupt. But if your commissioner tells you to do something and you don't do it and you go against her rules, I think that Barbara Gordon has the right to certainly stand up for herself, or at least put this guy back in his place. So again, a little bit of a head scratcher, to certainly say the least, when it comes to that also. I gotta say, now that I think about it, head scratchers all around in this episode. Speaking of which, Starfire and Blackfire. Okay, can we talk about that real quick? Because in this episode, we do see Blackfire wind up getting shot in the scuffle, which was a great fight sequence, I think, inside of GCPD. And Starfire is there to help her. Winds up getting out of GCPD, takes her to a church, winds up healing her, using her abilities to heal her. But we quickly see that Blackfire, in return, absorbs her sister's powers. Like, there's a moment when she's given her powers, and then as she's awakening and healing, Blackfire literally grabs onto her and holds onto her while Starfire is sort of struggling. So there seems to be an element of Blackfire either knowing what she was doing, or just the surge of power once you start getting that type of power, you probably don't want to let go whatsoever. So I am still really confused as to not only what happened, but what her motives are. Like, she plays up the role of, have you still not trusted me yet after all this time since she's been back and her sister's been next to her? We have seen Blackfire do some pretty heroic things in this season as far as helping out the Titans from time to time, but there certainly still seems to be something in the back of Starfire's mind that clearly makes her not trust her sister fully, right? Like, was this the game plan all along? Again, I am wondering, we've seen Gar infected with these hallucinations, Dick Grayson with hallucinations. I wonder if Starfire's feeling a little fear and hallucinations also as to what's going on with her sister. I really want to know what's going on here, because even, guys, if you recall a couple of episodes ago when we caught Connor and Starfire having sex in the bedroom, there was like this weird aura or like pink mist or energy under the bed. I have no idea what that was also. Like, was that drawing Starfire into the bedroom? Was she sucking some of her powers also? I really have no idea. And then the fact that she's not even going to attempt to give the powers back, right? Like, she's got the powers now, and she just talks about the idea that she's got some unfinished business and winds up sort of leaving to figure things out. So I'm wondering if Starfire is completely depowered, if Blackfire just has a portion of her abilities and some abilities now, and exactly what this unfinished business of hers is. Like, there is like, just based off of this scene alone in this episode, like when they go to stop the people of Gotham City from attacking them, and as they're trying to walk away, one of the guys says, "Yeah, get the out of here," or something like that. And you see Blackfire turn around and just look at the guy. Like, I wonder if she's gonna handle some of these civilians from Gotham City. Like, I wonder if she's gonna go ahead and take care of some of these citizens, or exactly how she's gonna use these abilities to her advantage, certainly going forward. So I do like the storyline between Starfire and Blackfire. Like, I do think they've done a great job of building that sibling rivalry, having them understand each other a little bit better. I even really, in a weird way, enjoy the Blackfire and Connor Kent sort of attachment that they've built amongst one another. I mean, they're like even holding hands in this episode as they're headed to GCPD. So there's a part of me that doesn't want to think that Blackfire is scheming, but would it be that much of a surprise? Like, would it be that much of a surprise, especially if you know the characters from the comic book, mating with a Kryptonian to maybe have a super powered baby, Kryptonian Temerian baby, absorbing your sister's power to be the rightful heir and queen to your planet? I mean, like, she's doing all the necessary things to really put herself in a great position, but she's truly playing it off like it's nothing. So, like, it would not surprise me, guys, if by the end of this season, Blackfire winds up getting to a place where maybe she's the villain for season 4, and maybe we do eventually get our mission to Starfire's home planet. Like, the team take care of Red Hood and Scarecrow, and once that's resolved, maybe we get a cliffhanger saying like, hey, there's another big bad, and she's been under your stable this entire time in Blackfire. I don't know, guys. So I don't know what to make of it. So another head scratching moment, to certainly say the least. But I love the storyline so far. And another quick honorable mention in here: Rachel returns. I mean, look, we saw her briefly in last week's episode, but Rachel returning in the sense that the duo is back together. Rachel and Gar, buddies from the start. It's really great to finally see her back in the fold and in the real world, away from Themyscira. Winds up finding Gar in need in here, and we've got our team back together. Now, granted, everybody is separated. I think we've got Superboy and Nightwing, the two sisters, Gar and Starfire, and then of course we got Donna Troy on the way back here into Gotham. So I'm liking the buildup. Still have my issues a little bit when it comes to the Red Hood and Scarecrow stuff. Again, I really love what Red Hood presented the first 3 episodes, but then he quickly became sort of just puppet, being held up by his strings, this lackey for Scarecrow. And I'm really not sure how I'm feeling the drawn outness of this relationship and sort of the back and forth, right? Red Hood, or I should say Jason, kind of dabbling in the idea of wanting to become a Titan again, but Crane kind of stops him, and now he's sort of being manipulated once again, and we get that back and forth. I really was hoping that Red Hood would be sort of maybe not even necessarily the sole villain, but even a much more bigger threat the entire way through this season compared to what he's kind of turned into. So outside of that, though, I certainly really enjoyed some of the great character work and some of the great action that we wind up getting in this episode. So maybe not the best or strongest episode of the season, but that's fine. We've had some stellar ones here. If anything, though, I do feel like the build up to the climax is coming along very well, especially with that final sequence of just seeing Nightwing staring out the window, and it's just Gotham, complete mayhem and destruction going on outside. So I've loved the tone. I've loved the tone. I've loved the vibe of this season so far, and I certainly hope that they keep up with it. But guys, listen, at the end of the day, these are just simply my A+ opinions. I want to know yours, though. What did you guys think about this particular episode? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after this video airs, and we'll certainly go ahead and continue this discussion until next week, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, that's going to do it here for us, but we'll certainly see you guys next week. If anything, I know we were going live at 8 p.m. Central Time, but I do think going forward, we probably will be sticking to the 7 p.m. Central Time. I'm hoping by that time everybody's had the opportunity to certainly check out the newest episode of Titans. So we'll certainly see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time. So until then, do me a big favor, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. Have a good one. Bye. If you enjoy our content and want to be a part of helping our channel grow, become a patron supporter. We have affordable tiers to choose from that offer a variety of exclusive and early access content, from audio files for all of our shows for you to enjoy on the road, access to our Discord community, and plenty of reactions, reviews, character breakdowns, and more. Check us out at patreon.com/A+opinions. And as always, remember, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so anytime we drop a brand new video, you will be notified.